Welcome to the Maxwell Leadership Executive Podcast, where our goal is to help you increase your reputation as a leader, increase your ability to influence others, and increase your ability to fully engage your team to deliver remarkable results. Hi, I'm Perry Holley, a Maxwell Leadership Facilitator and Coach.
And I'm Chris Goede, Executive Vice President with Maxwell Leadership. Welcome and thank you for joining. Well, today we're going to tackle an old assumption about leadership, and I'll let you know what that is in just a minute. If you're interested in learning more about some of our consulting services, some of our coaching or training, I want to encourage you to go to maxwellleadership.com/executive podcast. Would love to hear from you there. If you fill out the form, the team will follow back up with you. Well, here's what we're going to talk about. Can an introvert be a leader? And I think for a long time,
on that?
We're just going to sit here. And no, we're going to talk about this because a lot of people are like, well, leadership is loud and boisterous and they come open doors, right? But man, and all the work that we've done, some of the greatest leaders that we've had the privilege to work with and serve have been at the core of who they are, introverts. So absolutely, yes, this can be the case. And so not only can introverts lead, but oftentimes they're better leaders than those that are not. So let's dive into this. And we're hearing this often. We get it where some of our coaching calls, people are like, I don't have that type of personality. And so it doesn't matter. But talk us through.
No, that's where it came from. I had talking about kind of level 4. We would talk in the 5 levels of leadership about developing others. I was asking a leader about his leadership pipeline and who's his next generation of leader. And he says, well, I got a couple, but man, they're both of them are so quiet. They're so introverted. They don't speak up. They're just not that loud. And I'm not sure they could lead a team. And I went, no, my friend, yes, they can lead a team. Yeah. There's leadership comes from all personalities and temperaments because leadership's about influence. Do they have influence? Oh yeah. Well, let us talk about how we can we develop them. I was then I was on LinkedIn and saw a post, Kavit Haria posted a topic about this. And I used a term that I really like. He said that leadership, often has a volume bias, and you were just mentioned that, meaning that we reward the loudest, the loudest voice in the room, not necessarily the clearest voice, and not necessarily the most thoughtful voice, but the loudest voice. So I thought that can really be true, that we might miss some of our better leaders by the ones that are more thoughtful and quiet. Yeah,
the article that you're talking about called it charisma over calm mindset, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And we talked when I kicked it off saying, hey, there's this old assumption, and we have been kind of sold at times that there's this narrow image of leadership, someone that's bold, that has the volume bias that you were talking about that we have around it, and they're always out in front. And they bring a lot of great things, by the way. So what you're going to hear us say, and if you know anything about us and over the years of podcasts, you're going to become the best leader possible right where you're at, right? But even extroverts, they bring a lot of energy, they bring a lot of spontaneity, they bring a lot of passion, and we know a lot about them because they all want us to know a lot about them, right? And so we don't know a whole lot about the introverted leaders.
You and I, there's no real secret about me and you?
Well, maybe, yeah. I think I fall a little bit more on the midline than you do, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, well, and when it becomes the only picture we recognize, you overlook
you make an
so much. You make a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
So I like to go through maybe just looking at what these quiet leaders, what they bring, and make sure just really my purpose here is that not just for me and you, we need to be looking at our team and saying,
100%.
Who are these? What are the qualities they bring? And how can we really benefit from the leadership they bring and not discount them because they're not as loud as me?
Yeah, that's right. So let's highlight some of those strengths. So first, they can steady a room. The introverted leader can steady a room when tension is high, things are flying around, things are maybe flying at each other, right? They bring a great calmness and they're able to stay grounded no matter what the situation is. And I think when you do that, when you have that sense from that leader, there's a lot of stability in a team. And I think that's a tremendous attribute of a leader. And a lot of quiet leaders bring that to the table.
Hey, podcast listeners. Many of you listening right now would probably love the autonomy that comes with owning your own business or becoming a coach that helps other businesses succeed. Well, we have a phenomenal strategy where you are 100% in control of your own business, earning income on your own terms, and have access to the people, tools, and resources you need to build a thriving leadership development business. When you become a Maxwell Leadership Certified team member, you join a global community of entrepreneurs led by our expert team of mentors and faculty, including John C. Maxwell. You'll also get one of the top leadership certifications in the world next to your name, giving you the boost you need to get started. Visit us online at maxwellleadership.com/join the team to find out more.
In the military, I've heard it's, calm is contagious, and it's the same in leadership. As you're saying, we don't want to see our leader freaking out or running around with the hair on fire. No, we when things are sideways, we look to the leader, and the leader can calm the room. That's a superpower, I think, to do that. They also, I'm finding my introverted friends think more deeply than me. They don't just, I think I could be guilty of reacting, and they are more guilty of reflecting. And that's great. They bring, I don't know, because of that ability to think more deeply, they bring different viewpoint than I might bring to the solution. They're well considered when they think about their answers. They've thought them through. I, on the other hand, as a more extroverted leader, might more reactive and not so well thought through. I hope this isn't going to impact my employment at all, as I confess.
No, not at all. The other thing here is that they listen closely, whereas I think at times I can be in a listening mode, but I'm going to miss some of maybe the finer details of what may be even being communicated in between the lines. Mm-hmm. And I think those that can create a situation and almost kind of an environment, a quieter voice, and they get to a place where they're giving full undivided attention, it's just natural for them to be able to do that. That's their element. And oftentimes in one-on-one situations, I've seen a lot of introverts that far exceed extroverts when it comes to leading people in that one-on-one environment when it comes to listening.
And just to pile onto that, it's really motivational that through their empathy, we did a whole podcast on the power of empathy, but these more thoughtful leader, like you said, they're really good in the one-on-one, and they make you feel seen. They're more thoughtful. They let you speak, and they're just very strong emotionally, that they're not swayed in emotional swings like a louder, more outgoing person might be. They really support people with intention and care. I think about that level 2 of 5 levels, yes. Right? They make that connection, although they're not going to maybe go out of their way to pursue a connection. They will when you are in a one-on-one with them, you'll feel seen.
Yeah. And I also think that they're going to bring a lot of focus. We tend to have a focus problem at times around Maxwell leadership. They bring that kind of quiet strength of where they're at. Influence does not have to be something that you use a megaphone for. And I think that's what we're talking about, the difference between these. It's not a personality contest. It's really about how are you wired, in that we're in the people business. How are you going to increase your influence and impact and value people? And so it's not the loudest voice in the room. That's right. You don't need to do that. You just need to care. You need to listen, and you need to help people grow. By the way, those 3 things that I just mentioned, those are level 2 skill sets, level 3 skill set, level 4 skill set.
I was just going to ask.
So that is, when you look at that, it doesn't matter how you go about doing it, whether it's from an extrovert or from an introvert. The key is, how do you go about leading in a way that gets at that connection and care? How do you get it to where we're producing and we're developing, you're listening, and then finally at level 4, you're growing. The model works, right? By the way, whether you're introverted or extroverted.
And I was just going to ask you, I think of myself and my personality that I'm really a level 2 expert. I'm really good at level 2, building connection, building relationships. Relationships are my bread and butter. I love it. I can hang out there. Do you think an introverted leader is more driven to level 3 perfection? Are they the expert at level 3, really doing the process, the production, the results driven more naturally? I mean, they have to do both. We have to do both level 2 and 3. But I I tend to camp out at level 2. I wonder if extroverted leader camps out at level 3. I have to work at level 3. They have to work at level 2. But I haven't really.
That's a good question.
Well, I haven't thought about it in introvert extrovert.
I don't know
terms.
because one of the things that jumps in my mind is that although you may be extroverted and you naturally lean towards connection at level 2, the introverted leaders can do that as well, just in different environments. Yours, the more the merrier, right? Where an introvert wants to do it, but it's going to be in smaller groups or it's going to be in a one-on-one, right? And so I think they may still naturally, they could naturally lean, to level 2 or level 3, probably a little bit different of maybe their drive and their makeup. But I don't think that that's a one way or another. I think it's how that shows up, though, how they connect with people, how they feel like that they can be relational and drive that level of influence. That's just my initial reaction off of that.
And introvert extrovert is, I've had to remind myself of this many times, is extrovert doesn't mean you're running around, rah, rah, rah.
Right,
and
right.
introvert means you've got your head down looking at your shoes. No. Introvert, extrovert. My wife's an introvert, and she can be very engaging, very outgoing, very communicative. She's can be the life of the party, but not like that will exhaust her. It energizes me.
Yeah, it's from an energy standpoint.
Yeah, so she'll want to renew her energy. She will want to be more alone, quiet. I will, to renew my energy, will be more outgoing. I want to be with people to do that. So that's where the real difference is. So make sure we're being clear here that there's not one is not better than the other. These are both good.
No.
So the extrovert brings that bold energy and quick thinking, where the introvert brings calm clarity, deep focus, quiet strength. These are both very good things to have.
That's good. Well, as we work to think about how we wrap this up and how we challenge whether you're an extrovert or you're an introverted leader, one of the things is that I want to say, here are a couple questions. I just talked about the level 2, level 3, level 4 skill set. And then Perry challenged us to think, well, where do you naturally lean in that? I want to kind of give you, again, some practical questions, some takeaways that you can be asking yourself about this. And again, the title today is, can an introvert be a leader? 100%. Can an extrovert be a leader? 100%.
Yes.
But are you growing your influence in the right way with the right motive? And so here are a couple questions. These would be level 2 questions for you. The first two: am I caring for my team? And am I truly listening to others? That is part of that level 2 skill set. The next two that I want you to think about is, am I helping my team win? Am I helping my team grow? Those are level 3, level 4 questions. And then overall, I think when you look at why we believe in the 5 levels model so well, because everyone deserves to be led well, is that, are we making a positive impact on people? And how you make a positive impact on people is that you do levels 2, 3, and 4 for so long, so well, that you have an incredible impact on those people. So those are a couple questions from a practical standpoint that I thought I would just throw out there. They can begin thinking about it. Doesn't matter, introverted or extroverted.
I love that. As a pile on with that a bit, I just finished reading John's not newest book. I can't keep up with what the newest book is, but it's just come out in the last few months on the charismatic leader.
Yeah.
And I love that because many people will say, well, I'm just not charismatic, or you're more charismatic. Can an introvert be charismatic? Absolutely.
Yep.
And how John defines charisma and charismatic leadership is putting the focus on others, not on you. And so I can think an extroverted leader can be non-charismatic by making it all about them.
Yep.
An introverted can do the same thing. So this idea of judging your leadership potential by your volume is a big mistake. And if you're growing leaders on your team, don't assume leadership potential by the volume bias that we talked about earlier. I always look at these introverted styles as like a superpower and how they develop their influence. All of us have to be developing our influence, whether you're outgoing or more inward focused. It's a challenge for everybody to do that.
That's good. Well, as we wrap up, again, we're going to go back, and this is a pretty simple close for us. Understand the 5 levels of leadership. It is not only a common language inside an organization that drives behaviors, it really helps people begin to understand how to think, act, and interact, which is how we define culture from, Greg Cagle's description, and we have a course on culture. understand the model, because it doesn't matter how you're wired, introvert or extrovert. None of that matters. What matters is, do you understand the levels of influence, and that you're on different levels with different people all the time, and that you're always moving and it's fluid. And so it is something that you have to continually challenge yourself to look at with every single person that you have influence with. Where are you at? What are you doing? You just do it in your own way, whether you're introvert or extrovert.
5 levels was a game changer for me personally, and it's really defined the leader that I've wanted to be. And if you want us to send you some information about the 5 levels of leadership or any of our other offerings, we'd be glad to do that. You can leave us a request at maxwellleadership.com/executive podcast. You can also learn about our other podcast offerings. You can also leave us a note or a question. We'd love to hear from you. We're very grateful you spend this time with us. That's all today from the Maxwell Leadership Executive Podcast.